I've actually gotten to a point where I've lost count of how many times Final Fantasy IV has been re-released. I think the barrier of entry to get this game, when it's been re-released so many times, when there's a 3D remake that you can buy that has probably a more modern way to get into 4. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. Before we get this video started, I want to give a huge shout out to Square Enix for providing a review copy of Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. I honestly have a lot of love for Final Fantasy IV. It's one of my first Final Fantasies I ever played. I have dyslexia, so playing RPGs back in the day that made you read, even though it's difficult for me to read, even now it's still kind of difficult for me to read, it forced me to focus, which, let me for temporary time, tame the beast of dyslexia so that I could just focus and read and enjoy the story. So I have a lot of love. There's a lot of nostalgia for me. But at the same time, these constant re-releases of old titles, with the exception of the 3D remaster, kind of make it really hard to recommend. Like, why are you going to pay so much more for this Pixel remaster when you could just get one of the other remaster, which interestingly enough was a mobile title. But hey, I don't know. It's Square Enix and how they treat the classic Final Fantasy 1 through 6 is just interesting. I know I'm getting a little bit annoyed because I don't like the fact that this is on PC and mobile only and not on console. I don't get that. It's weird. It's one of those weird Square Enix business practices that just doesn't make any sense. But anyways, in this video we're going to be talking about the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, what I like, what I don't like, and so much more. But before we do all that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ding the notification bell, that way you stay up to date on all the latest greatest content that comes from this channel. Make sure you hit the like button as well, share it with someone you think would enjoy it, and pick up some merch while you're at it. We got merch over on Teespring and TeePublic, so make sure you go check those out as well. And if you want to support the channel going forward, we do have channel memberships and Patreon, so links for those are in the description below. All that being said, let's go ahead and dive into Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. Final Fantasy IV kicks off with the Dark Knight Cecil, who is on his airship heading back to the kingdom that he serves with his army of men. Everyone has low morale as they had been sent on a mission that had them slaughter innocent mages for the sake of collecting a crystal for the king. After returning to the kingdom, the king stripped Cecil of his rank for questioning his motives. Soon after, Cecil and his best friend, the Dragoon, Kane, are sent on collecting another crystal from yet another unassuming peaceful village. Little does Cecil know that this is the start of a grand adventure for him. Graphics. The pixel art of this timeless classic has received one of the best upgrades I've seen, and it's almost on the level of Octopath Traveler. The level of details in the character sprites as well as the environments are really stunning to look at, giving them a new level of life that they've never had before. Animations for spells were substantially upgraded over what we had previously experienced, including what we saw in the past 2D remakes of Final Fantasy IV. The weather effects such as rain, fog, sandstorms, and more are easily seeable from in the dungeons, which goes on to add a lively level of immersion that helps immerse you into your journey. One controversial thing I'll point out is the font, as that was the trigger of a lot of people, and yet for me, I don't mind it. Maybe that's because I'm so used to staring at different fonts all day when writing, but the font for me is fine. Audio. If you've loved the soundtrack before the previous releases, then you'll swoon over it now, as the entire 46 tracks have all been reorchestrated to go quite the distance to help narrate the story with just the music alone to set the tone for each scene. A great example of this is Welcome to Our Town, which plays when you arrive at a certain village, as the flutes and harps showcase the nature of the townsfolk who have no idea that they are going to meet their end by Cecil. The reorchestration of each of the original 46 tracks goes the distance in giving this remaster more life than you could have ever imagined before. There's a music player that can be accessed in the main menu that allows you to dive in and enjoy the majesty that is Nobuo Uematsu's masterpieces. Gameplay. The gameplay is still as crisp as ever with the active time battle system, or ATB system, that has gone on to not only define the franchise, but also numerous other franchises as well. One could even say that it was perfected in Chrono Trigger. The ATB gauge will fill up over time, allowing for each of your party members to be able to execute one of several actions from either attacking, spellcasting, defending, item usage, or even running away. The only limitation to this classic is the fact that each of your party members is locked to a particular class and are not able to be changed beyond that, of which might irk some modern gamers used to being able to build out their characters the way they want to. Other areas of improvement are the inclusion of a mini-map that will help navigate dungeons a lot easier, and thankfully the difficulty of this game isn't to the high degree that the 3D remake was. Downsides. The only downside to this game is the fact that it's only on PC and mobile. Why isn't this on other platforms? Many newer to this game might also be put off by the fact that this game is quite linear and doesn't have much in the way of side quests or content. If anything, I'd say to keep in mind that this is the first Final Fantasy that has a strong narrative, so there are going to be things that this doesn't have that were incorporated into later titles. The wrap-up. It's Final Fantasy IV. What more needs to be said? This is a title that brought character-driven plot and strategic gameplay to the franchise that would stick and become a mainstay in the franchise for years to come. If you're looking for the perfect entry point into classic Final Fantasy, then this is a game for you, especially if you're looking for the best version of Final Fantasy IV. And honestly, this is the one you need to dive into. The verdict? Buy it. And that's it. That's the review for Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. Again, shout out to Square Enix for sending over the review copy of this game. What do you guys think? Are you excited to play this? Do you have it already? Were you let down? Did you like the previous remakes? I mean, there were numerous ones that came out before. Whatever your thoughts are, let's get the conversation going down in the comment section below. And if you want to take the conversation further, we do have Discord as well as Guilded. Links for those are in the description below. And all that being said, if you want to pick up some merch, we got merch over on Teespring and TeePublic, as well as channel memberships and Patreon if you want to help support the channel as well. All that being said, I'm Mikhail Kasanova. I'm signing out. Hope y'all have a great one. Deuces wow. Too sweet. Be the elite. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Mahalo for making it to the end of the video. I really appreciate your support by those of you who like the videos, who watch and who subscribe. And for those of you who are my Patreon supporters, thank you for your continued support because you help make this possible. If you enjoy my work and you'd like to support what we do have Patreon on patreon.com/MikhailCasanova. We also have Coffee as well as Subscribestar. So there's various methods if you want to support the work that we do here. We also have channel membership, so make sure you check that out. That way you get up to date on all the latest and greatest content that comes here and first, and exclusive content as well. And if you enjoy the work that I do and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So with that being said, I'm Mikhail Kasanova, Hawaii content creator. I hope to see you on the next one. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding the notification bell. And all that being said, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.